Welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Show. This podcast is really dedicated to ideas on helping you grow your business, and today's show is all about growth. Today we have Amira Alvarez. Welcome, Amira. So happy to have you on the show.
I'm thrilled to be here, Jane. Thanks for having me.
Now, you have a business called The Unstoppable Woman, but I do want to make sure that all of the groups are included in our conversation today. I'm sure that's something that you have a narrow niche, and I love, love, love that. But we're not going to exclude anybody today in our conversation, are we?
Not at all. Everything that I teach is applicable to men and women alike. However, you uh, come to the show as, it's going to
Yes.
work for you. And I actually, secret behind the scenes thing, I have quite a number of men who are attracted to the message and are my clients and all of that. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
And we'll include others in that as well, male, female, other, whatever, however you identify, just know that this is all about business growth. Now, one thing that I caught in your bio was that you said that you were addicted to hard. Talk a little bit about just in general, does business need to be hard?
So I don't think business needs to be hard. I think there's always effort, there's always determination, there's always persistence. There will always be challenges, right? The waves of the ocean keep coming. That's a natural law, right? The new stuff that you are going to interact with as you grow your business is going to keep coming. That doesn't change. Your response to it can change, and that's what makes it less hard. And
Mm.
so hard to me is a state of mind, an attitude, an approach. It's the monkey on your back rather than the game on, let's go. Okay. And I really think that the women and men who take it to the next level and are super successful make that shift and continue to make that shift because at least in my experience, Jane, I say I was addicted to hard because I would be like, okay, I'm gonna make this easier, I'm gonna do it differently, and I'd make all sorts of conscious choices, and then find myself at that next level doing the same thing,
Mm.
not the same tasks or the same kinds of things, but the zeitgeist in my mind, the mental attitude was still like, how do I pile so much on my plate that I'm going to be spun out, overwhelmed, confused? And I had to really break that addiction.
And
Yeah.
I've been studying mindset for a couple of years now. I just got certified in a very particular thought model. And I really do believe that our thoughts are what makes it hard. Like we decide that we're feeling like it's hard. That's kind of a decision that you make. And so you can go through life thinking that everything is hard and everything is a struggle, or you can choose something else. I mean, this is a choice. And so I think that that's interesting that you've made the choice. Okay, I'm going to get from, you said, low six figures to over seven figures, and you made some sort of mental shift in order to get there. What did you tell yourself in order to get to past seven?
Well, I told myself a lot of things, right? It's a constant inner dialogue that needs to be up leveled and upgraded for sure.
Yes.
But fundamentally, it's not, here's the rub where I think a lot of the mindset stuff, it's like a good start place, but we need to go a little bit deeper, which is we make choices. We make choices all day long. We can be conscious of the choices we're making, and we can make better choices, especially when someone helps us see where we're just in an automatic pattern and we could make a different choice.
Yes.
That's huge. Like as a base level, that is huge. Like if you just did that, your life would change dramatically.
Hmm.
The next level after that is to understand the identity and the self-image piece that drive how you're seeing the world and the kind of choices that you're making. So for instance, if you have a self-image that says, I am valuable, I'm worthy, I'm a good human,
Hmm.
when I'm busy, when I'm uh, when I solve the problem, when I'm the team hero, when I am the clutch player when there's so much happening and there's going to be a a big breakdown or a crisis unless I step in. These are all roles that you learn to play, and it's part of how you see yourself. The self image, the image with which you see yourself, and it drives everything that you think about that's coming into your world,
Right.
and it determines the choices that you even see that are available for you. So
Hmm.
so just saying make better choices, it's great, but that's still based on this limited number of choices, breadth of choice.
Right.
So you have to really go to that deeper level of self-identity and change that. And that's, to answer your question in a long sort of winded way, I worked on my identity issues. In that first year, I 5 times my income. I went from 138 to 700K. And then from there, across the 7-figure mark. And I'm fundamentally the same human being. Like I'm the same.
But you saw yourself differently.
Correct. And I started recognizing how I wasn't seeing myself as someone for whom life could be easier, life could be easy, that I could walk through life with grace, with ease, that I could make more money. Like let's talk about your podcast is called the Wealthy Speaker Podcast, right? Like this is about like how do you really grow that business and make it work
Yes.
financially. And I had to see myself as worthy of making a heck of a lot more money than I was previously. And my mindset around the hard was, I understood intellectually it's not hours for dollars, right? You can't scale that way. I understood that. But
Yes.
I still had a self-worth that said I have to be a self-image level of worth that said I have to be overworked in order to receive at a higher level.
Oh, that's so interesting that you uncovered that belief that you had. I wonder if somehow we're all born in this default position that has some sort of lack of worthiness. Like, where does that even come from? Why do so many people just kind of arrive in this position, and then once they start to do the mindset work, they start to realize, hey, wait a second. And like, do you think that where do we get that from?
Yeah, let me break it down because this is super interesting and hopefully it will like open things up for your listeners too, okay? So fundamentally we come into this world worthy, okay? Like think about it. The little baby in the middle of the night doesn't have any problem saying feed me, okay? Screaming at the top of their lungs,
I
okay?
deserve food. I deserve
Right.
food.
Pay
Yeah.
attention to me, right? Like we don't come into this world thinking that we're unworthy of love, attention, sustenance, any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, as we are raised to grow up as viable participants in the culture and society, we are trained to see, conditioned to see ourselves as less than worthy, not because our parents had malintent. By
Mm-hmm.
and large, most parents do not have malintent. In fact, they want the best for their children. But
Right.
let's look at a particular example of this. Let's say you're 3 and you're playing with your toes and whatever's on the floor, and your mom or dad says, "Hey, it's time to get ready. Let's go to preschool," right? Or kindergarten, whatever that age is. Okay. And you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you keep playing with your toes, right? Or your crayons or whatever. And then they get mad at you. That little baby's brain, that little toddler's brain, cannot make mother or father wrong because instinctually we know that that's where our love comes from. And through our love, through that feeling that the love is still flowing, that our security comes from, that we are going to be like taken care of, because we cannot survive without parental units, without or people who function like parental units. And so our little brain goes, well, I can't make mom or dad wrong because they're where my survival comes from. I have to make myself wrong. It's wrong for me to take time for myself.
Mm,
I need to jump through other people's hoops. Or let's say you were asking for new tennis shoes and they said something like, you don't need new tennis shoes, and dismissed you. Okay. They had their own money story. They were freaking out about paying rent or whatever.
right, right.
Okay. But you, as the little kid, can't make mom or dad wrong. You go, it's not okay to ask for things. I'm not worthy of
Mm,
pretty things or nice things. I have to beg, plead, jump through hoops, whatever it was in your
yeah.
life.
And
Yes.
then fast forwarding, especially girls, a little bit later down the road, oh, it's not polite to boast about yourself or talk about yourself in any particular way. People don't like that. And so I can see where we're just kind of tamped down, tamped down, tamped down. And so what we have to do when we become adults is build ourselves back up and remind ourselves. Like I have a post-it note on my screen. For those of you looking on video, this says, people need me now more than ever. And so my part of my identity is to be of service to people who want to grow their businesses. I feel like I have the solution to what it is that they need, just like you have the solution for your clients. So when you recognized who you wanted to be, I'm just wondering if I'm stopping short of a particular piece in this puzzle. You were very clear on the value that you were bringing to the table for your clients, right?
Yes and no. I mean, I knew that what I did was great and that I was good at what I did and that my clients were having success. But
Mm-hmm.
there's three ways to make more money. Okay. Can I just break it
Okay.
down? Okay.
Please.
So you can raise your prices,
Mm-hmm.
sell more widgets, so more quantity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can add a new channel of income. And that can either be within your product or service offering that you already have or something adjacent to it that makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
And really, those, like every revenue generating concept fits into one of those three categories. And so in hindsight, what I did was I added a new channel of income.
Mm-hmm.
I did not add more people. Okay. I mean, I was creating more clientele, but it wasn't like exponentially.
Right.
Okay.
You were lean
And
and mean.
and I raised my prices. Okay. Now here's the rub. It's easy to say that. Like I talk to my clients about like it's math. One of my talks, right? Wealthy speaker podcast here. One of my talks is, you know, it's mathematically easy to make money. Why are you making it so hard? It's not like when you do the math, tell me what your goal is, tell me where you are right now. We'll figure out what the gap is that we have to cross, and then it's a math equation. And
Yes.
we have to figure out what the product, service, pricing, all of that is to fit that. That's, I mean, sometimes our brain shuts down around it. It's helpful to have someone else to help you. I do that with my clients all the time. But
Yeah.
fundamentally, that's not so challenging. What's challenging is when you say, I'm going to triple my prices, actually feeling worthy of that in order to actually hold that energy, that level of beingness in a conversation with someone who's saying, what's your speaking fee? Or, you know, how much do you charge for X, Y, and Z? And
Yeah.
you're worried about paying payroll and you're like, just have to get this job, right? Or this contract. And you need to actually be someone for whom that's a non-negotiable. It's just who you are.
Mm, so good. I think about my client, Meredith Elliott Powell, who talks about at the beginning of COVID, she saw the fire, she grabbed the fire hose and went running towards the fire and said, "Hey, everybody, I'm here if you need me. Here's some good free stuff to help you kind of through this difficult situation." And she really became somewhat of a hero for her clients. And I also love that you talk about the numbers game. So my mentor, Brooke Castillo, I overheard her coaching another coach, and the coach had just done a launch. Her goal was 30 people into her whatever it was she was launching, and she got 7. And so when Brooke was asking her, Okay, well, what actions did you take? And she said, I took all the actions. And she said, no, you didn't. You took enough actions to get to 7. You didn't take all the actions to get to 30. That would have been, 3 times more action in order to do that. And so I thought that was really interesting to think about this as a numbers game. If you're not getting the results that you want, you clearly need to take more action. And I think that's probably where a lot of people who might complain about not booking enough business would fall into the not taking enough action category.
100%. So I teach and look at the world through the universal laws or the laws of success or natural law, however you want to call that. And the law of cause and effect says for every effect or every result, there is a cause. So
Mm-hmm.
the example that you just gave was the result was 7, the cause was what she did.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have to go, okay, well, to get to 30, do we just have to amplify what you're already doing? Okay, like more action in the same arena, or did we need to do something additional to get to 30?
Right.
And we have to play that out. Now, the thing that stops people though, like this is not a challenging concept, right? We all get this, right?
Right.
But the thing that stops people are like, but where's the time in the day, Amira? I'm so overwhelmed. How am I supposed to do even more? What about my family? What about my kids? What about like work-life balance? And we go into the story
Mm-hmm.
around why
They
I
can,
couldn't have done it or can't do it.
yes.
And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where you have to do the reframes and the work and get really clear and make better decisions for yourself so that you actually can become the person who does that thing. Because it's not just here are the 50 steps you need to take, because sometimes it is really 50. Okay, sometimes it's one, but like sometimes it really is here are all the things. Like, let's be clear, within business there's a lot of moving pieces and parts.
Right.
um, who do you need to be able to handle that and actually leverage it and go to the next level? That's the bigger question.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, when we're talking about actionable things that folks can do right now to increase their flat cash flow, you talked about raising prices, selling more, developing a new channel. Is there anything else we should be thinking about that could be kind of like an urgent to do item?
Yeah, one of the things that I mean, it's difficult because everyone has to say one thing, right? Because everyone has a different business. So if I was talking with you uniquely, I would be like, okay, what's your business model? Let's figure out what that one thing is.
Right.
But fundamentally, you have to look for more opportunities. The opportunities are always here. Okay. And this is what I'm going to put it into sort of an intellectual framework,
Okay.
and then hopefully that will get you inspired to be like, oh yeah, what is that? Okay. So the law of polarity says that everything is created as a whole. Nothing comes into this world as a half. There are no fractions. That's a creation of human mathematics and mind. Okay. The elephant comes in as a whole. The book has a front and a back. There's an up. If there's an up, there's a down. If there's a left, there's a right. Everything is whole. And so if you have the desire, let's go back to the example that you gave. I want 30 people in my program or my launch or whatever it is. And that's an idea that hasn't come into form yet. But if it's a true desire, like it's something that you really want, not just like someone else has given you that number, but it's your true desire, then the supply is ready to appear because it's equal and opposite. It's just hasn't come into form yet, which means that now, not to get too woo woo here, but because
Go,
the
go.
rubber meets the road in action. Okay, so the
Yeah.
supply is here. It's here in the non-form, in you know, spirit. Okay,
Uh-huh.
on the spiritual plane, but it's not here in your bank account, in your program. It's not a physical thing that you can touch, hold, use, play with yet, but it's here. And if you understand the law, you go, okay, I know it's here, and I know it's here for me because this is a true desire.
Right.
So then I have to stay open and ask the question, okay, what's the opportunity? What do I need to do right now in order to call that in? And that could be a change of thought, a change of behavior, change of attitude.
Hmm. It,
Fundamentally, I tell people to like start brainstorming. Okay. You're going to get 20, 30 ideas. Okay. There's not a shortage of ideas. We don't live in a lack universe. We live in an abundant universe.
right. Right. Oh, I love this. And so it could even be a little bit of a shift in terms of believing what's possible, because that's kind of the first step, isn't it? That you actually believe that it could even happen.
Correct. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, desire is the first step, saying I want it. Okay. And sometimes people won't even claim that they want it because they don't believe they can have it. So they reject the desire because they don't want to be disappointed. So first you have to actually claim what you want.
Claim what
Okay. And
uh,
then once you claim what you want, then yeah, absolutely. You have to believe. You have to believe in yourself, believe that it's possible, and
mhm.
believe in quite frankly the unseen, right? Like that you can do something that you've never done before.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay. What do you think success is truly based on?
Success, well, let's go back to belief. Okay. I mean, success is based on these seven foundational universal laws. Okay. They are how we live. We live in an ordered universe. Once you understand how the universe is ordered, and you start holding yourself to being aligned with that order, so no longer being in confusion, no longer being in a disordered state, but working in alignment with the order of the universe,
Mhm.
then you will have success. It's the law. Okay. It's automatic. Okay. Now, that being said, understanding what these laws are, like first level is like getting some of the high level things that we just talked about, two of them, the law of cause and effect and the law of polarity. These are two of the seven. And then you have to actually go, okay, well, I understand that. How do I hold myself to that higher standard? So, for instance, using the law of cause and effect as an example, if you're getting a result that you don't want, you have a different idea. You have to go, okay, I'm 100% personally responsible for all my results, not just some of
Yes.
them, not just the ones I
Yes.
want, but
Yes.
all of them. Then what is it that I need to do differently in order to get the result that I want? And I have to take personal responsibility, which means I can't be in shame and guilt, because the moment I go into shame and guilt, I reject responsibility. Okay. And so these are the kinds of things that you have to work in the moment, in action, in your business, and not just go, oh, it wasn't meant to be. That's spiritual bypassing, right? Like hold yourself responsible. Know that you are first cause.
Think factor COVID into this for me. So there's a pandemic going on in the world. Your calendar, like most of our listeners' calendars, went away in March. Many people bumped things out and were able to hang on to a lot of their business, but some of it just went away. Um, Give me like a universal spin on that.
So there's always opportunities here. Let's go back to
Mhm.
what we were just talking about. So if you, let's say you chose a goal at the beginning of the 2020. Let's go back to 2020,
Yeah.
right? And you had, I don't know, 100K or 500K or a million, I don't know where you're at, but let's say you choose a goal
Mhm.
and mid-March you're like, oh no, COVID, everything's gone to hell in a handbasket. Well, the
Yes.
first thing you do is you don't let go of that goal. That goal stays sacred. And this is where understanding how goal achievement works and working according to the laws really comes into play, because most people threw that out of the window. My clients, every single one of them did better. okay, like did great in 2020, with the
That's
exception of
amazing.
one or two, okay,
Right. Because they
that
were
were
looking for opportunities in
correct.
the storm, in the fire, in whatever you want to call it.
So when you keep that desire clear, when you keep your goal clear,
Hmm.
and you understand the law of polarity, which says the desire is felt, that's the goal. The desire is felt, the supply is ready to appear. It doesn't matter that there's COVID. I did better last year than the year before.
Hmm.
Okay, right? Like, what do you need to do differently now? Where's the opportunity? And the people who succeed don't miss a beat on that. Okay, and some people don't miss a beat in one day, some people don't miss a beat in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 months, 6 months. Where did you turn that around? And if you're honest with yourself, did it take 9 months to turn your attitude around? And if so, that's where you're at. That's a great data point. Zero shame. How are you going to make that, how are you going to close the gap on time, make that shorter for yourself next time?
I felt this in action exactly in March. So I took 2 weeks of absolute losing my mind, thinking we were going to have to sell our house, like just really going straight into the fear, fear, fear. And then my mentor, Brooke Castillo, said, let's everybody set a short term impossible goal. She wanted to make it shorter because we were in the throes of it at that time. So I said, okay, I'm going to, what thought was an impossible goal, I set for the end of May to earn $50,000. Just because, and I didn't stick to my original plan. I did adjust it. So I recognize now that maybe I should have just stuck to it. And so $50,000 felt like an impossible goal in that moment, which was exactly when I switched my thinking from, oh my gosh, my industry is wiped out, to people need me now more than ever. This is exactly what you're talking about. I changed it around, and I swear it was like flipping a switch. Not only did I earn my 50,000, but I didn't even need the second month. We did it by the end of April. So probably about 6 weeks. And then we just continued on. And I haven't finished my year end yet. It's March 31st, but it will probably end up higher than the year before. But I didn't stick to my original goal. So I'm recognizing now that I should have I should
Well, but
have stuck.
yes, yes, that's true. And congratulations. This is like, you have to run the stairs. Like, this is like the incremental step that you took. You you are recognizing how it worked and what you could have done better. No shame, no guilt, because that just makes it, keeps you trapped. Okay.
Yeah.
And but then the next time something happens, because there will be a next time, guys.
Yes, and I'm tested on my like fear-based confidence. I didn't land at an 8. I have to tell you, I had to work my way towards an 8 in terms of like belief and thought and everything. I
Right.
probably started about a 3.
Good for you. Good for you. So now you know, because there will be another time.
Yeah.
And now you have a transferable skill. You can transfer that confidence
Yeah.
to the next thing that comes, because you know what? There's going to be a next thing. This is life. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I think that all of us coaches out here, that's what we're selling is confidence. You know, really helping people really embody it and believe it.
Yeah, I would yeah, I don't disagree
Frame
100%.
it,
My
frame it the
pause
way
is,
you would. I would like to hear the way you would frame it.
I would frame it as remembering the truth of who they are.
Hmm.
Right? We started off the conversation today and
Yes.
about where did we lose our self-worth? Well, you came into this world worthy. You came into this world like owning yourself. And I don't know that every coach does this, but that's what I do is I help people get reconnected to the truth of who they are so that then they can work at a higher level instead of making themselves small. So
Mm,
often people say, I keep playing small. And no longer is it what happened 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago that we can, blame. Like, that's an unacceptable thing to do. Now you have to be like, okay, and I'm holding myself to a higher standard and it looks like this. And when you start doing that, you start going, wow, I freaking love myself. Okay. And then you become unstoppable, which is my brand, right? Like when you feel worthy and like you can do the hard things and you are doing them, then you're like, oh, freaking A, this is fun. And
Yeah.
then you have your freedom because you're no longer living in insecurity. Can I say one more thing about that? Because
Please.
okay. So the other thing that I do that's fundamentally, I think, unique to what I do is I teach people how to make more money. And
Mhm.
where I mean, there are a lot of business coaches out there, so I don't mean to have the stranglehold on that. But this particular aspect of it, I think, is unique, which is that if you think about where people feel insecure in their lives,
Mhm.
it is often, and I'm going to say always, though I haven't gone through every single unique experience, so I can't 100% say that, but test me on this, that everything relates back to money. I am going to lose money. Okay. Some people might say that that's love. Okay. And belonging, because underneath why we want the money, it's for putting a roof over your head and feeding yourself. But after that, it's and that doesn't take much.
Right.
After that, it's I don't want to be thrown out of the tribe or rejected or not loved and all of that. But money plays such a pivotal role in our lives. And so people contort in order to get money, and they don't know the truth of where money comes from. And money comes from source, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call that, God,
Right.
infinite intelligence, through people, through sales. And so you have to get good with people, which means you got to get good with yourself. You got to get good with the laws of the universe, which is that first part, good with the people, and then good with sales. And most people run screaming from the room, avoiding sales, don't know how to do it, doesn't work for them. It's frustrating, all of that. And
Right.
those three things make a huge difference.
I love it. I love it. Now, when you say you can achieve your goals faster than you ever thought possible, what does that mean exactly? Final question.
Final question. Okay. So, most people, if I said to you, Jane, do you want to make $1 million? I don't know if you do. You do. Okay. And how long do you think from
1.7.
what's that? Say that again.
1.7 is my number.
Is your number. Okay. And I don't know where you're at currently, but
Mhm.
how long do you think that's going to take you to get to 1.7?
Well, I have till 2022 is my kind of time frame. So my goal for 2020 was 900 and then COVID hit and I did change it.
Okay. So you can do that faster. Okay. You can close the gap on time. And there's a methodology to that. And that's fundamentally what I teach. But I'm going to give you one like actionable thing that you can do right now.
All right.
Be a quicker decider. You're probably a quick decider already, but you need to be a quicker decider. Some people aren't quick deciders at all, and they just need to
Yes.
learn to be a quick decider. You
Yes.
need to make decisions faster than you've ever made before and hold yourself. You're going to hear me say this over and over again. Hold yourself to higher standard, right? There's a place where a great example of this. I had a fabulous client. She's still fabulous. She has a real estate business where she gets investors and they fund the projects. And then when the project's complete, she pays the investors and gets money out of the jobs.
Okay.
And she needed to, one, learn sales, right? How to have those investor conversations and then have them more often, more frequently, and then close the gap on time. They would say yes, because I taught her how to do sales and they were like, this is freaking amazing. Great investment. Yes, I want to. But then how do you get the contract out to them faster? How do you get them to say yes faster? How do you close the gap on time on all these things, whether it's booking travel to an event or closing the deal on something? You need to do what would take you, what you give yourself a month to do in 2 days. Okay.
Mm.
And I know some people are listening and they're going, that's stressing me out. I like it's ramping. You can learn this. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because quite frankly, if I make a decision, if you make a decision to hire a team and it takes you 3 weeks to hire that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I hire that person in a day.
Right.
Even if I've made a mistake
You'll
and
see.
that person isn't a good fit and I have to hire again, I
Mm-hmm.
am still doing it faster than you're doing it.
Yeah, because I probably would have taken 3 weeks and it still would have been a mistake. And I do see things like that happening even in projects. So let's say you have a video project that you're trying to get out the door, but you're getting stuck in perfectionism. Talk about the going faster piece on perfectionists.
Yeah, perfectionism is really a fear of judgment. Okay. So again, this has to go back to self-ownership and really owning yourself. Okay.
Mm,
And one of the ways to really move through this is to experience the discomfort and do it anyway. Okay. So you're doing the video project and it's not perfect. Ask me how I know. So many video projects that aren't perfect. In fact, early on in my career, Jane, I did something called the visibility challenge. And it was these 7 days to help people move through their visibility. And there
right,
were these short little videos with each day. And
right.
I laugh at it. It's great content. We might put it out again. I was just talking to my team about reutilizing it. It's from
Yeah,
6, 7 years ago. I'm in my dining room. The lighting's crap.
yeah.
Like there's light, like a light thing going across my face. So I'm in the shadows, all this stuff. And I just did it anyway because I needed to get it out. And then I listened to the video and I was doing everything myself back then. I listened to the video and I was like, oh, I forgot to say that. And I didn't say this. And I added little graphics on the video that answered that, or oops, I meant to say this word and I said this instead. And I just adjusted it and moved.
Right.
That was one of the things my clients loved the most. And it was so not perfect,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
had to go through it and the discomfort of that and find a solution to it to become someone who could do it faster.
Yeah, do it faster. I love that. And so we often say, look, get it to 80%. Like just get it out the door. And because done is better than perfect, right? And this is the speed idea. I have a lot of clients who are right on this periphery of breakthrough, but some little piece of the puzzle is holding them back, you know? It might be that, oh, I don't have my virtual demo ready yet, or I don't have this part ready. It doesn't matter. Just go out and pick up the phone, send somebody an email, you know, go ahead and do it. And I love this idea of speed. Do it
Yeah,
faster, make decisions faster.
absolutely. Because you'll get the feedback faster. So
Yeah.
I'll send something out
Yeah.
and then I'll be like, oh, I should have said that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have gotten that insight if I
Mm,
hadn't sent the email. Like it was in the act of doing it. Or like I sent an email out, like this is a speaking example. I sent an email out to be on, it was a virtual stage, a podcast, to be on someone's podcast. And he wrote back, where's your one sheet? I was like, Googling what's a one sheet. Like I was new. I was totally new to the game. I was like, hey team, we need a one sheet.
Was
You
this
know?
in 1998 this person was
Yeah,
asking? I
totally.
hope
It was
it
a while
wasn't
ago.
2021.
And
Like, oh my gosh, one
yeah,
sheet.
yeah. So,
A little outdated to me.
I mean, people still use them all the time. So,
Yeah.
so my team put it together. Because we had a website with everything on it, but this guy
Yeah.
wanted a one sheet, so I was like, let's put it together. And I put that out. And then he wrote back. He's like, "This is great. You missed these 5 things. You should have these on there."
Oh my
And
gosh.
well, see, I could have had the attitude of like, that's obnoxious, but I didn't. I was like, thank you. I'll take it. Right. This guy is trying to help me up my game.
Mhm.
And if this is what I need to do to up my game, I'm going to up my game. I'm not going to be
Yeah.
like, it's game on. Like, so Jane, I'm going to just call you out on that a little bit. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like in that moment, that's a slow down moment. Who are
Mhm.
you to tell me, how obnoxious to tell me that that wasn't good enough, right?
What I'm thinking is, okay, look, I have a lot of podcasters in my world and not a lot of people ask for all that stuff. So maybe that was a helpful exchange. But let me just say, if anybody wants to be on the Wealthy Speaker podcast, we will not make you jump through those hoops. We have a nice little form you can fill out on the website.
For sure, 100%. And I was like,
There was some,
I was not gonna miss a beat.
yeah.
I was not going to miss a beat in getting my feelings hurt, pushed out of shape, having a bad attitude about it. I was going to be like, okay, game on. I love it. Here you go.
Great. Good for
Yeah.
you. I like it. I like it very much. And I love that you're kind of merging the spiritual elements with business. I think that that is just a really, really powerful combination. Tell everybody what if they would be curious about working with you or want to know more. What's the first step for somebody to get in touch with you?
100%. So there's two great places to go. One, we do a summit called the Unstoppable Woman Summit, and check that out. That's a great first step. 3 days, solid teaching, just me, with an amazing community of women. And you will learn all about the laws, all about the way to scale, how to make it happen for yourself. It's the spiritual and the tactical together. So that's a great place. And you can find that at theunstoppablewoman.com/summit.
Okay.
So
And we'll put those links in the show notes, by the way.
great. Thank you. And
Okay.
then the second place is we have a ton of free stuff that are resources, and we have a whole page of them. Whether it's the Morning Mindset Club that you download, whether you listen to our podcast, we have the Unstoppable Woman Playbook. There are all these different income breakthrough jumpstart stuff. There's all these resources, and you can grab that at theunstoppablewoman.com/free stuff.
Okay.
And then, fundamentally, I think listening to our podcast is a great, I put out, I sit down Saturday morning and I, bang out a bunch of content for everyone. Like I download what I think people really need to know right now. And so it's got a ton of teaching on that podcast. So I encourage you to listen to that.
Okay, well, we are going to put that in the show notes. We'll make sure we have links to all of those things. Amira, thank you so much for bringing us something that I think for our listeners might be coming from a little bit more of an unusual place. Maybe they're not entirely used to it, but I feel like this is really, really important. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast today.
Aw, thank you, Jane. I super enjoyed myself. Thanks for the great questions.
Hey, and if you're listening in and you've appreciated it, hey, let us know. Leave us a rating, leave us a review. Drop me an email, jane@speakerlauncher.com, and let me know what you think. And with that, we will say, see you soon, Wealthy Speakers. Bye for now, everyone.